I was thinking earlier, which storyline is the worst? Is it the Cena heel turn? Is it the Kabuki Warriors Rhea Ripley feud? Is it the Vision? And then I realized these are all just symptoms of the same problem. The problem is Triple H. Triple H is going to destroy this industry. I'm not joking. He's going to run it into the ground. He's going to destroy all of the credibility, any of the credibility that wrestling still had. The ESPN deal, once they are off of Netflix and they're off of ESPN, they are not going to be on TV again. They're not going to get another deal. No company with any sense is going to pay WWE to draw less than 1 million people and declining when they have a global audience now. And they continue to put out this nonsense week after week. It's over, okay? So that's why this channel, we're going to review every single wrestling show for the next 2 months up until John Cena's last match, because I'm a businessman and I know that wrestling is going down the tube after John Cena retires. So we're going to eat off of these last 2 months of feasibility, and then we'll see what happens from there. Now, Raw today took place from Perth, Australia, where else? One night after Crown Jewel. And, when wrestling was good, the show would start out with a 5 to 7 minute match between high flyers to get the crowd hype. And then after that, there'd be a segment backstage with some comedic element to it that would set up the theme and matches for the rest of the night. But now that wrestling is awful, every episode starts with wrestlers coming to the ring to recap events that happened in previous weeks. Tonight was no different. Seth Rollins and the Vision come out to the ring. I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary. I have tanked the ratings. I have lost 3 million viewers since I've been on TV regularly. He then goes on to glaze Bronson Reed. He goes on to glaze Braun Breaker. And then he says he doesn't need Bronson Reed. He doesn't need Braun Breaker. He doesn't need Paul Heyman. Now, to be fair, he is correct about this. He really hasn't needed them. And anybody with a brain would think, then why did you start the faction? That's what we've all been asking for the last 6 months. Oh, but also, I would like to point out that he did basically say the same thing 2 months ago, because they all cut the same promos. At Clash in Paris, I believe, he said that he didn't need Bronson Reed. He didn't need the Vision. Why they didn't turn on him then, I don't know. Why they even joined the faction in the first place, we don't know. But so that happens, and that's it. That was the opening segment to Raw. I don't know what they are smoking in the writing room. I just don't understand how you have all week, and it's your job to write, to produce entertaining content, and this is what you do. How is that possible? Next, we had Dominic Mysterio versus Penta for the Intercontinental Championship for the Uno, Dos, Tres, Cuatro, Cinco, Siete, for the millionth time this year. This Dominic Mysterio IC Championship reign has been awful. He's done nothing. All he's done is fight in matches untelevised in Mexico and have the odd match with Penta on Raw or PLE. No, they're just waiting for Liv Morgan to come back so they can have that. But what if Liv Morgan doesn't come back? What if she retires or she can't or something else happens? Like all this company does is nothing. They just set up storylines for 6 months down the road and then just coast. That's all Dominic Mysterio has been doing. He hasn't improved in the ring. He hasn't improved his promos. He doesn't even have different ring gear. He is a Nepto baby. And I already know what people are going to say. Oh, but Dom is over. Dom is over. Okay. So if you put the title on Dom right now, you built the company around him, would the ratings go up or down? They'd continue to go down. You'd get a bump for a week or two, and then people would start to realize that there's no substance behind the Dominic Mysterio character. There's nothing there. And then the ratings would collapse because all trust and faith that you may have had in the company to choose winners, you would lose that. Same thing that happened when they put the title on Jey Uso. You could argue that Jey Uso has been the catalyst to the decline in the ratings, because when you give your top prize to somebody that doesn't deserve it, to a mid-carder, then there's no reason to care anymore. It doesn't matter who wins the title because you've devalued it. Just like you devalued the U.S. title when you took it off of LA Knight and put it on Shinsuke Nakamura, who hadn't been on TV for 8 months. And then he continued to not be on TV, and then he just lost it randomly. Like, you can't, who would take the title seriously after that? What adult with a life, with a job, kids, family, other shit to do could continue to take it seriously if you don't take it seriously? Furthermore, I don't understand why Penta isn't a heel. He looks like a heel. He's got the physique of a heel. He should be a heel. Why is he a face? Why is he a face? Also, can people stop doing the dive over the top rope? I am so sick. I don't know how I'm going to last these 60 days. I am so sick of people diving over the top rope to the outside. Like, again, when wrestling was getting 7 million people to watch every week, nobody was diving on the outside. Nobody was doing it. But now wrestling is getting 1 million people to watch and everybody is diving over the outside. Maybe there's a correlation there. Up next, we had Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai. How is this still going? I thought the payoff was the tag match at Crown Jewel. So if you paid your money to watch Crown Jewel, specifically to watch the Kabuki Warriors versus Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, then it's invalidated the next night because the Kabuki Warriors stand tall and the feud will continue. So the outcome of the match at Crown Jewel, completely pointless. It was just an exhibition. And this is just a symptom of the Triple H booking because he did the same thing when the Wyatt Six, out of nowhere, won the tag team championships in a six-pack ladder match. And then the next week on SmackDown, they then had to defend the titles against the Street Profits, who were in the ladder match. So why would the Street Profits have any incentive to even compete in the ladder match if they were just going to get a one-on-one match? Like, Triple H, yo, listen, I'm telling you, this guy is going to end this industry. We've got 60 days left. Start your clocks. Start your clocks. Yeah, the Kabuki Warriors stand tall. This is going to continue forever. Up next, we had Jim Uso versus Bronson Reed. Now, watching this match, I think I realized why they're not high on Jimmy Uso. There's nothing there. It's kind of Dominic Mysterio with even less substance, to be honest with you. And I've never cared for the Usos as a tag team, but I can see why they would push Jay as opposed to Jimmy Uso. Now, what I don't understand is why they continue to push Bronson Reed. Because when I think about the big men of the past, like the Big Show, Rikishi, even somebody like Viscera, they were big, imposing monsters. Bronson Reed is just a fat guy. Like, no offense to any of the overweight people out there, but he's just fat. Like, of course it's gonna hurt if he jumps on you. Yes, that's just physics, but that doesn't mean he's a good wrestler or he should be pushed or beating Roman Reigns, for heaven's sake. But yeah, the Vision come out. They're gonna beat up Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso makes the save. We've seen this. This is probably literally the 50th time in 2025 we've seen this sequence. I don't know what else to say. Then we had Bayley beat Roxanne Perez, who is now a jobber. I don't know what to say about this. I was going to say that anybody that's approaching 40 or around the same age as John Cena should retire if John Cena's retiring. And I was going to say that in reference to Bayley because I thought Bayley was 40, but Bayley's only 34. So I guess she has at least another decade to bore us on TV. Up next, we had Stephanie Valkyrie cut a broken English promo. And she's then interrupted by Roxanne Perez, who says that she beat her in NXT and therefore she deserves a title shot on the main roster. I'm not sure how that works, especially since Roxanne just lost to Bayley. So shouldn't Bayley be getting a title shot then? Or even Raquel Rodriguez, who wins all of the time? How does Roxanne get a title shot? How are they determining who's getting these title shots? But then I remembered Triple H likes Roxanne, and we know that he likes Stephanie Valkyrie. So in 20 years, are women on the roster going to come out and say that Triple H made them uncomfortable? Because you guys could just do that now. Like, we would believe you. I don't think anybody would doubt that. In the main event, CM Punk pinned Jey Uso to become the number one contender to the World Heavyweight Championship, which means that we're getting CM Punk and Seth Rollins again. This reminds me of that Roman Reigns promo where he's like, missionary, Again, oh, no, no, no. Now, these two are a little more relevant to my if you're close in age to John Cena, you should retire rant, because CM Punk is 46 and nobody could argue that he's had a less accomplished career than John Cena. So if John Cena is retiring in 2 months, CM Punk should be right behind him out the door. Now, Seth Rollins is only 39. But the way I see it, when I grew up and I started watching wrestling, 39 was like ancient. To illustrate this, in 2002, The Undertaker was 37, and he had already had his decade of destruction. He was already past the decade of destruction. He was doing like the Evil Taker at 37. And again, he was way more accomplished than Seth Rollins, who has single-handedly, you could argue, tanked the ratings for this company. So by all logic and reason, he should be out the door. But of course he won't. He's going to be on TV for the next 5 years until they're off of TV. And they will be off of TV at this rate. Anyway, the Vision come out to attack CM Punk, and then they turn on Seth Rollins. I just like to point out that there was no real catalyst for this turn. It wasn't like Seth Rollins had berated them or anything any more than he had already done earlier in the night or a few months ago and at that PLE where he said he didn't need them. It just was like, seemed like Braun Breaker just decided to turn. And then Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman, two presumably intelligent adults with agency, just decided to go along with him. So maybe that's how the faction came to be. It was just a spur of the moment decision that none of them put any real thought into it. They just did it. I mean, Seth Rollins said he didn't need them. Braun Breaker today just decided to leave. And Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed decided to join him. So all of that talk, all of that cap about long-term booking, there's nothing long-term about this company. Everything is just shock value. Do it now. This is WCW in 2000. Okay. And here's the thing that people don't realize is that WCW in 2001 was way better than WCW in 2000. But by 2001, the damage had already been done. The writing was already on the wall. The Titanic had already hit the iceberg. It was too late. It's too late for this company. I'm telling you, when you put the title on Jey Uso, and you're having Gunther tap out to sleeper holds, and you're featuring Jelly Roll, and you're doing Punk Rollins again, we're done here, okay? So set your calendars, 60 days, Cena's last match. That's also going to be the last relevant event in wrestling, I'm telling you, all right? And in 30 years, when people watch these episodes, I'm actually happy that Triple H's name is there because they'll know who to blame. It's Triple H. We'll see you tomorrow for NXT, an actual good show. In my opinion, the best show in wrestling. And I'll try to be better. So be safe, be blessed.
For more of the Crimson Brothers, follow the Crimson Wrestling Federation today. I'm commentator Havoc, the voice of the Crimson Wrestling Federation. And you can see the calls I've made in the Crimson Wrestling Federation, in the comic Crimson Wrestling Game, Story of Malice, in the description below. For more of the Crimson Brothers, follow the Crimson Wrestling Federation today. I'm commentator Havoc, the voice of the Crimson Wrestling Federation. And you can see the calls I've made in the Crimson Wrestling Federation, in the comic Crimson Wrestling Game, Story of Malice, in the description below.